Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. Let's talk about the Duelist Cup. Now, when you're seeing this, the Duelist Cup is over. However, currently, it's still going on. And I wanted to talk about what could Konami do to actually make the Duelist Cup good? Or more specifically, what should they have done to start off by making a good event for competition just in general? Now, there are a lot of things and a lot of other companies that do events like this, right? Lots of companies do hosted events through their clients, right? Whether that's something like Clash in League of Legends, or the PlayStation or like PC Cups for Fortnite, or whatever it may be. There are tons of other competitive options for players in other games. Now, the Duelist Cup isn't necessarily a terrible idea when you first think about it, but as soon as you start to get into the nitty-gritty, and more specifically what it actually means, it starts to be pretty terrible. Now, a world invite for the top placing team the top placing performer is pretty good. And on top of that, allowing other people to also participate and get points and stuff like that is a good inclusion, right? The inclusion of season points and stuff like that is pretty decent. And having a stage 1 and a stage 2, I actually do like. It's an event, or a type of an event that I actually do really think fondly of, right? Having a climb to basically filter out the people who aren't going to even be able to compete at that higher end, to then get those people to that higher end, and then again compete for another thing. Not really that big of a deal, and I do think it's pretty good. The problem, at least in the Duelist Cup's case, is time frame. Having the first stage be as long as it is, I think is mostly fine, except for the fact that I still think it's too long. It's very, very easy to get to that highest rank, even from the lowest. You don't even have to put in that much time, because you have so much time. Like an hour a day probably could do it. Maybe not an hour a day, maybe a little bit more, but you get my point. There's a lot of time to get to that highest rank, and it's not really that big of a deal when you do get there. Now, in the second stage, this is where the time becomes just laughably bad. In no situation should you have to play for 3 days straight to even compete, right? For example, right now, there are several streamers that have been playing for over a day, right? Now, last night, or yesterday, I should say, I was watching many different Yu-Gi-Oh! Streamers, and there were several of them that were on their 13th, 15th, 14th hour of gameplay straight, just in the Duelist Cup. And here's the thing, that was the day 1 streams. That's not day 2, that's not day 3, that's not towards the end, that's not collectively, that's not the whole event, that is the first day of 3. That seems a bit unhealthy. No company should realistically expect or try to get their players to play for that long. That is unhealthy, and that is incentivizing people to basically ruin their mental state, to ruin their health, and to just put themselves into a bad situation to play and compete in this game, which is not something that any company should ever do. So, how do we fix this? Let's talk about, more specifically, how do we fix some of these issues with the Duelist Cup, right? First things first, this is a very simple fix. Just shorten the time. There's actually 2 fixes to this. Either you shorten the time to make it a simple 8 hours, right? At like max. You could be like, cool, here's 8 hours. And the thing is, with how constant the Duelist Cup is, at some point someone is going to be able to play at that time, right? They're going to be able to compete, and it's going to be rewarding, right? 8 hours is still long, but it's at least enough to get who is the better dueler. You know, who's the best duelist, what is it actually going to be, and how's that going to work, right? Realistically, though, these numbers are way too high. You should not be getting this many points, just straight up. That's ridiculous. Not really that big of a deal, but the second thing that you could do is cap the amount of games being played. And don't cap it at something ridiculous like 100. That's already too much. Cap it at like 50. Because let's be honest, how many duels do you actually do in a specific day, right? Think about a YCS. How many duels are actually played in a YCS, right? In at least a day, I should say. If there's 10 rounds played in a day, That's at max 30 for a single duelist. So capping that at 50 seems fairly reasonable. At that point, you probably could determine who the better duelist is. Maybe you could cap it even higher, like say 60 or 70, but I don't think you need more than that to really determine who the better duelists are, right? Because then that makes it more about winning, more about being that better player and playing out each and every game, and not just cranking out as many games as possible, right? Right now, you're more incentivized because it's on a time limit to play as many games as possible and not necessarily stick around in games that seem even remotely lost. This happens in the Duelist Cup, this happens in the KC Cup, in Duel Links as well, and it's something where it's more about, again, playing an insane amount of games. I distinctly remember looking through a lot of the top 100 in the KC Cup, which is the Duel Links version of this, and seeing some players getting almost 1,000 games played. Now, that's for speed duels, but that's an insane amount of games. That's almost too many games, right? There's no real reason to have players play that much. You just don't need that much information, right? You can pretty easily determine who the better players are with less games. You already do that with the YCSs. So it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense for a company like Konami to really do that. Okay? Now, with that being said, I do like the current ranking system and the current DP system. I think it works. It's fine. A lot of other games do similar things like that, right? Like, for example, in Fortnite, which is the only other one that I can realistically think of at the moment, because it's someone in my family also does that. But in Fortnite, notably, what they do is you play 10 games. Each one of those games, if you get kills, you get more points. If you get higher placements, you get more points, and if you survive long enough, you get more points, yada yada, right? All of these things stack up, and then whoever has the most points gets to go on to the next stage, right? You could do that here. That's very reasonable, you know? However many games you win, however many points you get, etc., right? And I think the DP system is actually pretty good. I think it's one of the better systems, and honestly, it should just be implemented into regular ranked, like an MMR system. Don't know why that's not the case, but it's whatever. More specifically for like Master 1 or the highest of ranks, not really something we need to talk about right now, but that'd be cool. Second thing, the third thing that I don't know what number we're on. Whatever number we're on. We talked about time. Talking about DB. Oh, rewards. The rewards for this event are, let's be honest, laughable. Here's the thing. The first stage has pretty decent rewards. Lots of gems. The missions give you additional rewards. It's pretty decent, right? Climbing all the way to max level, you get some pretty decent rewards. Not insane, but, you know, decent. Now, granted, the Duelist Cup reward tickets have always been terrible. I'm not even going to show you. Actually, you know what? I'll show you. I wanted to spare your poor eyes from seeing this terrible pack that you are given for being a good duelist, according to Konami. These are the cards that you get. None of these cards are meta relevant. None of these cards are really even decent. Besides maybe this one. And this happens consistently. Like, why is Dunamis Dark Witch in here? Because Konami can't give you any of the actual good cards, because if they did, they couldn't charge you for it. And that seems a bit underhanded, a bit lame. Like, I'm not even opening good pack. I'm opening, like, what, 2 cards a pack? And I'm not getting that many of the cards in the pack, or that many tickets to open the pack. It just feels silly. Like, something should be in here. Right? Ash Blossoms, Maxis, Bestials, something. Nothing. Don't know why. Now, back to the Stage 2 rewards. To be fair, if you do come in first place, you get an automatic invite to Worlds. That's pretty good. But, for every other placement, you do get some season points, to be fair. If you get to top 100, you get some season points, which can then be, you know, maybe an invitation to Worlds, right? Hey, 2,000 season points, you're probably going to do pretty good. But if you don't, there is no incentive Oh, sorry, hold on. There is an incentive. You can get more Duelist Cup reward tickets. You can get an icon, which no one cares about. And you can get a title that is very difficult to see. So, you know, again, these are fine, but there definitely should be more, especially if you're committing as much time as you are. Again, going back to Fortnite, Fortnite actually gives you cash if you win. Like, if you're actually a good player in Fortnite, you can consistently play the game and just, like, get money. That's an actual job that you could have, is just playing in these tournaments, doing really well, and then obtaining actual money. I don't think it's actual money, I think it's like Play Store cash or something like that, but along the same lines, right? You're actually obtaining currency. At the very least, you could get gems for this. That would make sense, right? But no. I couldn't tell you why that is the case, but that is definitely something that would incentivize more people to invest and to play and to at least try in the Duelist Cup. And then you could maybe actually see the best duelists, right? At the moment, I don't really feel like there is much of an incentive, especially if you're doing poorly, right? There's no real reason to keep playing. It's like, oh, I did poorly in the first day. Maybe I should just stop playing because I'm not going to get anywhere, right? It's not worth the mental stress. And this is a just not healthy business model. I really feel like you're just going to burn out a lot of your players if you end up just doing Duelist Cups like this. So, all in all, I think there definitely could be some improvements, and this is the worst event. It's not even close. I get that maybe if you get a whole lot of duels, you can actually see what's the meta and what people are playing and make a ban list around that. But the thing is, you have however many ranked games as well to check. And honestly, even if it was cut down significantly, like I said previously, with a cap on the amount of games being able to be played, that's still a ton of games. You don't need that much data. You really just don't. So it's a bit weird to see this, and it's just frustrating. Also, last thing, I promise, Stage 1 Duelist Cup, why can I not see my opponent's deck lists? That is, there's no reason for that. It's Stage 1. No one cares. Just let me see. Just let me see my opponent's duels. Or decks. I need to see. I want to see what they're cooking. In Stage 2, it makes sense. In Stage 1, it doesn't. Anyway, that's going to be it. Let me know what you guys think about this. Do you think that there could be better improvements? Do you think that this is fine? Do you think that my improvements are bad? Let me know. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy it. If you did, like us very much, so appreciate it. And if you want to check out more content like this, as well as more Yu-Gi-Oh!, then just be sure to subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye. Shout out to the Frost Guard, my members. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I hope you enjoy the content.